Hey guys, my name is Priscilla Elias and today I'll share the things I wish I knew when I started to shoot professionally. As some of you already know, I was an amateur photographer for many years, but I went from amateur photography to professional photography considerably fast from the time I really started studying photography. So the things I will talk about today, I learned them and started to apply them on my daily basis on the way, as soon as I started taking photos professionally. Knowing these things saves me a lot of time and energy, and besides that, it helps me to keep my photos as safe as possible. So I hope these tips will help you from the start, so you will also see your productivity and professionalism go from here to here in no time. The first thing I wish I knew back in the days, and especially while I was an amateur photographer, was that study and practice makes the whole difference. Of course, that as an amateur, I wasn't much worried about how fast I'd get better, but if I had dedicated a little more time in practicing to shooting a bit more and studying different photography topics, I would have gotten better and I would have been able to charge for my work even faster. And come on, I'm not saying about studying and practicing 8 hours a day, even though if you do that, you will certainly learn even faster. But if you put in 2 to 3 hours a day into studying and practicing photography, you will see that in no time you will be good enough to be able to go out and charge for your work. From the time that I really started studying and practicing a bit harder, it took me about 6 months to get my first paid clients. Of course, that we have to consider that I already had a decent knowledge of composition, of posing. I already had some Photoshop skills and also a basic knowledge of the camera settings, light, and equipment. But still, if you're starting from zero and you put in the work, the more you do it, the faster you will be a professional. Also, please note that this never stops. I still study and practice photography, and that helps me to get better every day. But what we're talking about here is studying and practicing to a point where you're good enough to start charging for your work. The second thing I wish I knew when I started to shoot professionally was that I should not suffer from my mistakes, but instead learn from them. I always want to deliver my best to my clients, and especially in the beginning, not always my best was good enough for me. I used to put a lot of pressure on myself about the expectations of the results of each and every one of my photo sessions. And not only over the photo sessions, but over everything that was related to my photography business. I felt that I needed to have all the answers, that I needed to be fast, that I needed to be awesome, that I needed to be this and that and blah blah blah. It consumed me so much. And in the end, this pressure didn't change the results. Or maybe it did, for worse. In the best case, the results would be as good as they could be, but I'd be overstressed, sleepless, or extremely exhausted. Tom taught me to take it easy and to chill a bit more. What I do up until today is to get prepared for each shoot. And this helps me to keep calm and relaxed for work. If the client asks me for something that is a challenge for me, I will ask them for more time to get prepared, and then I will have enough time to study, to get the right equipment, and to be certain I can do my best for them. And that's it. If things don't go exactly right, instead of suffering from it, I will find solutions. What can I do about it? How can I fix whatever went wrong? Can I offer the client a new photo session? Can I send them some extra photos? What can I do to get it right? And of course, learning from your mistakes is extremely important. Repeating a mistake is totally unnecessary. And this is something I take not only for my photography business, but for my life. Learn from your mistakes. Do not suffer from them. Blaming yourself will only make you feel upset, and probably at some point your insecurity will show, as you will end up losing clients for something that is already in the past and that you should have overcome by now. So get over your mistakes and get a positive attitude about them. Learn from them, and now you're a better photographer. So thank you, mistake. You helped me to be a better professional. The third tip I wish I knew when I started professional photography was to get my files organized. When I started, I had no idea of how to do that, so I just did it intuitively, and after a while my files were a mess. It was only after a couple of months shooting and after watching some other photographers' videos about how they organize their work that I finally found a way to get organized. There are several ways you can do this, but nowadays I save my work into different folders. Portraits, weddings, other events, product photography, real estate, food photography, and then inside each of them I have subfolders with the name of the client and the date of the shoot. That way my folders are easily searchable. Also, inside of each of my clients' folders I have all of my raw files loose, and then I have two other subfolders, HD versions and social media versions. Inside each of these folders I have the JPEGs of the edited photos both in HD and in social media versions. That way I can always easily find my edited files and my raw files in my folders. And the next thing I wish I knew when I started photography professionally is something that is related to getting the files organized, which is saving a virtual and a physical backup of all of my work. So every time I come back from a shoot, I always send a copy of my raw files to an external HD, and then from there the photos will be automatically uploaded into the cloud service I use, which in my case is Google Drive. I won't get further into details about this because I already have an entire video explaining why and how I do it. And in case you want to know more about it, I'll leave a link for that video up here and in the description so you can watch it after you watch this video. What I want to tell you regarding this today though is keeping two backups of your work is extremely important for you to avoid getting anything lost. Also, it is always great to have all of your work available for you even when you don't have your computer in hand. Believe me, every now and then you will be thankful for having two backups, being one of them a virtual one that you can access from any device, anywhere in the world. Still into the organization topic comes the fifth thing I wish I knew when I started photography professionally, which is working on finding the workflow that works best for you. It might take some time. After all, finding what works perfectly for you will demand some trial and error. But having this in mind will definitely help you to get there faster, and believe me, once you find your perfect workflow, you will save tons of time and stress. And when I talk about workflow, I mean the whole process, from getting ready to a photo shoot to actually editing and delivering your photos. The part of the workflow that took me the most time to nail was finding the best editing workflow, since there are so many steps from uploading photos to actually exporting them and sending them to the clients, and for that reason I dedicated an entire video to this topic, for which I will also leave a link up here and in the description. There I will talk about my editing workflow in detail, which might end up not being the perfect one for you, but that will probably help you to have a few ideas on how to get a good editing workflow and where to start. Maybe you can try my step-by-step and see how it works for you, and from there decide what you think you should do differently or what you should copy and do the same. If I knew that finding my perfect workflow would save me so much time and headache, I would definitely have put more effort into nailing that from the start. And the last thing I wish I knew when I started doing professional photography was to get things going. That's right, to just get things going. It is very common that when we start out, we feel that we're not ready, that we need to start our company with all its bureaucracy, that we need to have a brand and our style figured out, that we need to be awesome. And the truth is, after you have some knowledge and you can take good enough photos, sometimes all you need to start is just start. You don't need to be perfect. Things don't need to be perfect. You can improve on the go. You don't need to start your company before you have your first clients. You can first get a couple of clients and maybe use a third-party company to issue your invoices for you. You don't need to know for sure what it is that your brand is about. If you do, great, but if you don't, it's okay. You might start shooting portraits and later on you might find out you only want to shoot products, weddings, or maybe that you want to shoot everything, all of them. It's okay if you're not sure in the beginning. Just get things going. Get things going and keep thinking about the things you can improve, but don't let the things you do not have in hand or the things you do not know about stop you from doing your thing. Just go ahead and do it. That's mainly what it takes for you to get your business going. Having the guts to keep it going even when you're not sure about the best path to follow. Keep studying, keep practicing, keep shooting, and the answers will come. I promise you. If this video helped you, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to my channel, guys. You might not have a clue about how much this helps me to keep this channel going. That is about it for today. Thank you so much for watching this video up until the end, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao!